Hello, just before we start, I'd like to just briefly mention that the budget for Kop On since 2017 has always been zero. But I've signed up, it's still zero. I've signed up for a free trial version of Adobe Podcast, which allows you to enhance the audio. And it seems to work very well, but I'd love to get your feedback to see if I should continue this free trial or not. So here's the episode. Please do get in touch. Just let me know if you like it or not. koponpodcast@gmail.com. And also, as ever, if you feel like sharing the podcast, then please do, dear sweet, adored listener. Without further ado, here is a newly enhanced audio version of the new episode of Burnley Preview. Enjoy.
Hi, this is John Bonds, and you're listening to Kop On.
There is a famous translation of Homer's Odyssey where Ulysses, who's been away for years, just the whole book is him coming back from war and all of the different trials and tribulations. If you haven't read it, and I know sometimes the classics can seem irrelevant, or they could seem daunting, or they could seem sort of off limits, or I don't know, whatever's stopping you from reading the Odyssey, just go and read the Odyssey. It's amazing. And after all this time, this huge amount of time, Ulysses finally comes home, but he doesn't immediately go to his wife. He dresses as a beggar, and he tests his wife's loyalty before revealing himself. Or she realizes that it is indeed her husband Ulysses who is back after all these years. And because the Premier League is back after what feels like an epic amount of time, far too long, a dirge of international football, I thought I'd read you the passage of Penelope, describing Penelope as she finally realizes that this beggar in front of her is not a beggar, but her long-lost husband. A great sea swell of joy surged up in her heart. Her knees went slack, her limbs lost all their power. She wept and threw her arms around her husband, embracing him, pressing her face against his, showering kisses on his neck and head. And just as with a swimmer, just as when a man whose ship has been smashed by a storm at sea, who has struggled for his life in the furious surf, who has found a rocky shore at last and a handful of firm ground to stand on, finds himself safe and sound, so she found him in her arms, safe and sound, and clung to him with her whole being, and wept and clung to him. So I'm going to weep at the return of real football, but I'm delighted to be joined by Nigel and Douglas. Nigel, you going to be weeping, or surely there are some sentiments of Penelope that you can identify with after what seems like 10 years?
Yeah, well, I have never read the Odyssey, but I have watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which is loosely based on the Odyssey, which is a great movie, by the way. And we found ourselves in one of the famous quotes of the film. George Clooney several times said, "Damn, we're in a tight spot." We found ourselves in a few tight spots over the last few games, so hopefully we won't have to be getting ourselves in any tight spots on Sunday against Burnley. In our pre-show chat, Doug was saying that they seem to be playing a little bit, trying to be playing a little bit more football than they had been doing. Well, I think we saw it. Who was it played? Manchester United last game. They played Man United, and United seemed to concentrate on going at Kyle Walker, and he had a nightmare. He was all over the place. So that would be what I'd be looking at straight away down that channel. Line up a couple of players out there at him, and I think we could go to town if we can get behind him. They've got another ex-Man United player in the midfield, that Hannibal Meshbury or whatever his name is, always seems to come out with a horrible piece of dirt against Liverpool. He was playing with United a few years ago with the under 21s or under 18s, under 21s, and he committed a horrible foul. And he tried to do somebody again, playing for Burnley, I think, against us a few years ago, and we beat them. Went over and kicked somebody over on the line, and we ended up scoring from a free kick, I think, that he gave away. So I think we play our game, we play to our strengths, we'll win.
It's a lovely answer. We're going to talk about Burnley in depth as we go along, but I love that, initial analysis from Nigel there. And as he mentioned, Doug is with us. Douglas from the Dugout Football Channel. Absolute joy to have you back, Douglas. You are fresh and hot off a call with Dan from Turf Moor House, Burnley FC Channel. Welcome back to Kop On. You've been you've been spying for us, haven't you, Douglas? What have you learned from Dan?
Spying, that's a new one. Hello everybody. Thank you very much for having me back. It's a pleasure to be back. Yeah, very interesting chat actually. Burnley they're not the Burnley of old, let me just say. Still got the old guard in there, but they've got a really good side now, actually. Spearheaded by, obviously, Marcus Edwards. On the left-hand side, you've obviously got Jadon Anthony, ex-Bournemouth as well. So, and that, as Nigel says, they've obviously got that Mejbri, but they've got a player who I really, really like in their midfield now, in Florentino Luis. There are question marks over him, how he makes his debut on Sunday, is another matter or not. But I fully agree with what Nigel said. I think defensively they could definitely got at. The fact is that they've lost their spine of their team. You know, they've lost James Trafford to Manchester City. I mean, I feel sorry for him anyway, because obviously you've got Mr. Donnarumma there now to take his place. So no chance he'll get more game time, unfortunately. CJ Egan O'Reilly, another one. He's gone. And Josh Brownhill has decided at the age of 29 he'll go to blooming Saudi Arabia, which, again, baffles me, to say the very, very least. But I think the one thing I can say about Turf Moor is it has been a tough ground for opposition teams. Hasn't been for us. We've actually won 14 out of the last 18 games against Burnley. 7 of those in a row at Turf Moor since the 2-0 defeat in 16-17 when Andre Gray and Sam Vokes scored. And that was a game where we had a luminous yellow Warrior kit. You remember the two shades? There was one yellow and there was a bit of lime coming down that one as well. So yeah, that was the last time we lost at Turf Moor. So I'm quietly confident going into this game. Fingers crossed that the 14th of September is a much better day for us than it was last season, because obviously we lost to Nottingham Forest last season on this day. So I'm looking forward to the game, and yeah, I'm really, really confident going into this one. I think if we make it 4 wins from 4, then that is a really, really good start, and it puts the doubters off again.
A lovely answer. Liverpool are indeed looking to win our opening 4 Premier League matches for the 3rd time ever. Ever since the beginning of the Premier League. The only other 2 seasons in the Premier League that we've done it is 2018-19, when of course we finished 2nd, and 2019-2020 when we won the league. So yeah, it would be the 3rd time in a row that the top flight champions have won their first 4 games, because City did it in the last 2 seasons. And the first time ever in top flight history that it's happened if the reigning champions win their first 4 games. And Liverpool are the reigning champions, lest we forget. We were not going to forget. And yeah, so Burnley, I mean, I didn't know much about them at all. I did a bit of listening to you, actually talking to Dan on the fantastic Turf Moor House podcast, so do check that out. And I also looked on whoscored.com, where it lists Burnley's strengths and weaknesses, which is what they do for every team. And according to whoscored.com, Burnley's strengths are finishing scoring chances, attacking down the wings, coming back from losing positions, and protecting a lead, whereas their weaknesses seem like they will just play precisely into our hands. Listen to this list of weaknesses. The first one is stopping opponents from creating chances. They're very bad at stopping opponents from creating chances. Hello, Florian. They're very bad at defending against attacks down the wings. Hello, Cody. Hello, Mo Salah. They're very bad at defending against through balls. Oh, Maga, Florian, Mo, gonna have a field day. And they're very bad at defending against skillful players. Ugo, Ekitike, stand up. And they're also very bad at keeping possession of the ball. So these weaknesses are classified as weak, 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 and very weak. So I'm feeling very confident if who scored it is correct with their analysis. It also says that they're non-aggressive, which also plays into our hands because it's never nice. Like the Newcastle game, for example, even though Newcastle had 10 men, they were able to bully us. And that's something that, I don't know, it remains a concern, doesn't it, Nigel? The fact that, I mean, Arsenal are a team of thugs and we managed to do really well against them. But is that, I don't know, are you still a little bit concerned, even after the Arsenal match, about, the physical side of this Liverpool team? I don't know.
Thing is, you're always going to be concerned, I think, unless you've scored 4 or 5 goals. You're always going to be kind of a little bit under pressure. If we could score 4 or 5 goals and then kind of take the foot off the gas and just control the game, fine. But until you've got proper control, there's always a chance somebody hits one from 35 yards and it goes in the top corner or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just, when you're saying about the possession thing, that's the one. The other things were building it up, but then you said holding on to possession. The way we press falls completely into our hands, hopefully, and we just on them from the first whistle, because their crowd are going to be mad anyway. There's a small ground, tight crowd, tight to the pitch. They're going to be an aggressive crowd because it always is up there. So hopefully our lads have an instruction that we can put pressure on them straight away, force them to make passes that they don't want to make, and we pick off the bits then after that. That's what I'd be looking for straight away. That's the first thing I hope our coaching staff are looking at, that these guys are there to be picked off. Don't let them settle on the ball. Get on top of them. Force them to play.
That's very reasonable indeed. Douglas, if you were to make a list of Liverpool's strengths and weaknesses, how are you feeling? What jumps out at you if we talk about Liverpool's strengths and weaknesses this season?
Strength is definitely attack. I think we look at our attack, obviously, the Gakpo, Salah, Ekiteke. Obviously, you can add Isaac into that as well, Florian Wirtz as well. Attacking-wise, really, really, really good. I agree with Nigel. I think we play our own game. I think we should be absolutely fine. Weaknesses, I still think defensively we can be got at. I know we defended as a resolute team against Arsenal, and we certainly needed to be, for sure. I would also say, yes, I know we sort of get bullied at times, but I think the one thing for me is that we do hold the ball really, really well. And I think when you look at Gravenberch is an absolute must in this game for sure. I would even say maybe McAllister is another one. So Slot's definitely got a decision to make who to play at right back, because at the moment I don't think you change it, because I think Szoboszlai has been unbelievable right back, and obviously got his goal from that fantastic free kick against Arsenal. Goalkeeping we're fine. Midfield battle could be very, very interesting on Sunday, but I think we have more strengths than sort of weaknesses in this side, and I think that the key thing for me, if we get an early goal on Sunday, then it will definitely settle us down, and then you can obviously try and go for the jugular and go in for the kill and get the the second and then possibly third as well. Or it could be a tight, scrappy affair. We've had our fair share of scrappy affairs with Burnley over the years, especially at Turf Moor. And they always make it difficult. You know, the last time they played at Turf Moor, they beat Sunderland 2-0, so need to be wary of that. But apart from that, we have a very, very good side. And I just kind of look at the two managers on the bench. I have my words about Scott Parker. I'm not sure about Scott Parker, and obviously the reason I would say that is that when he was at Fulham, didn't take to the Premier League at all. When he was at Bournemouth, it was more the same. He basically came into the Championship, didn't learn from his lessons, and obviously you see what happened, 9-0 at Anfield with Bournemouth. So he came back into the Premier League with Burnley. So obviously third time lucky, as you would say, but. Whoever we play up against at this moment in time, I always have that feeling that we're going to win. And we are on a really, really good run of scoring. I think we've scored in our last 37 games in a row. So long may that run continue. So whoever we play on Sunday, I'm full of confidence that we can go there. And look, we might have to be patient. We might have to be patient and see what develops in the game as a whole. But I fully expect them to tire at some point, and I think once they tire, there'll be lots of spaces that happen. We can exploit that space, and I'm pretty sure we come away with a win.
Yeah, lovely answer. In terms of individual players, Burnley have got Josh Cullen, who's done quite well, 1 goal and 1 assist from 3 starts in midfield. They've got a lot of players that you'd recognise: Martin Dubravka, Kyle Walker, of course, Jadon Anthony, formerly of Bournemouth, Ekdal, Hannibal, who we mentioned before, Leslie Ugochukwu, very good player, 21 years old. Lots of players that you recognise, but, think about Liverpool. All of our players are sort of, I'm excited to watch all of them, of course, but I'm especially excited to see Ekitike personally. If I'm going to choose a player that I'm really looking forward to watching, it's Ekitike again. But Nigel, what about you? If I was to ask you, which Liverpool player are you really looking forward to seeing?
All of them. I think we're just a very, very good team at the moment. It's good to see the new players fitting in nicely. Remains to be seen whether Alexander Isak is going to get a run. I agree with Doug. I would keep Szoboszlai there because, as we saw when he made those big lung bursting runs up and down the field, it's great because he won't tire. He just simply won't tire, and he's got a pass in him. He can hit these big long range passes down. If their fullbacks are pushing up, knock him into the space in behind, and we've got to run in behind because Kyle Walker is not exactly quick. You'd imagine they're going to try and sit back a little further to try and negate a bit of our pace. Well, that's just made for Ekitike then. Drop off into the space, turn and run in at them when they drop off, and just play little 1-2s around the corner, the way we scored against Newcastle when they were trying to drop off, the way Rio Ngomoa's goal, or the way Federico Chiesa scored against Bournemouth. He dropped off as well, trying to defend. And we got a crossover. The keeper didn't really defend it that well, and Chiesa scored. So that's, if teams are trying to defend against us, they're in trouble because we've got so many options, and it can come from absolutely anywhere. And that's where I think if we get going on Sunday, it could be anything. I don't want to sound too overconfident or anything like that, but like we're playing, we haven't really hit any heights yet this year, but that don't say we won't, and we definitely will at some stage. And I think Sunday might be the first one. I think we could, if we get going early, it could be anything.
But would it not, Nigel, just staying with you quickly, concern you that, not concern you, but one argument against that could be that it's the first game back from the international break. So, for example, McAllister, he played 2 games in the international break. One was the early morning of last Friday. And when I say early morning, the kickoff was, I think, was half 1 in the morning or half midnight Scouse time. And a very similar kickoff against Ecuador yesterday as we're recording this, which is Wednesday, very early hours of Wednesday. McAllister might be knackered again. And other players, I don't know, we haven't had too much time to train together as a whole team. That might put a dampener on a big score, no?
Not if we can get a start, no. we've got an extra day as well, I think, with Sunday. Normally they'd shove us into 12:30 on a Saturday or 8 o'clock on a Friday night, you know what I mean? That's what they normally try and do to us, but
Yes.
we've got a bit of leeway now, maybe with the Champions League and stuff like that. And us being the champions and everything, and they want us like be on television maybe a little bit more on a Sunday. But I don't know. The one thing that we did, what we wouldn't have minded seeing, is Maka getting some minutes in his legs, because when he went off the last day against Arsenal, he didn't look fully fit. But at least this may have put some minutes in his legs, and you know it's important. I actually watched, I think it was only 5 minutes or something the other night, because I was trying to get it on my telly, and I eventually got it. Sweden were losing 2-0 at the time, and I was watching a bit of our new striker, and he actually was moving very, very well, and with a really intelligent run down the channel, the ball was played in behind, and the goalkeeper came out and made a fine save from him. So he actually looked well. He looks very sharp, so that was good. He might get a game. I don't know. He might not. I don't know. It depends on how.
Bench, though, surely.
Yeah, we'll have to bench. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. No, he won't start. No way. Just give him 15, 20 minutes maybe. And if we're going well, there might be something there for him. We'll see what happens.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Douglas, what about you? If you're going to pick a player who you're looking forward to watching on Sunday?
Florian Wirtz has to be. Because I think he's a moment away from exploding into the Premier League. That goal he scored for Germany the other night against Northern Ireland was unbelievable. I've certainly been learning from Sobel anyway. That was really, really good. But no, I think I'm just looking forward to seeing like all the players really. I think I kind of agree with what you were saying, obviously, about the international break. It is like the first game back. So it could be a bit like to sort of get back up to speed. It doesn't help really with, obviously, as you say, like Argentina playing Ecuador in like the early hours of, I think it was Wednesday morning. So they obviously had to travel back, I think, Thursday. So that could come into the manager's sort of thinking of the team. But no, like whatever team we put out, hopefully we'll have enough to beat Burnley. But yeah, for me, Isak will not start. I think I think it'd be very silly to put him in the start as well, because he's hardly had any game time, and I'll be honest, I didn't see much of Sweden over the international break. I've been watching my own country really, and you know we drew 0-0 with Denmark and then beat Belarus 2-0. So you know we've started pretty very well, which is good to see. So I haven't seen much of Sweden, but from what I'm hearing, he looked pretty lively. Probably more lively than the Yorkeres, who. This might sound controversial what I'm about to say, but I feel that Yorkeres is going to be a bit of a flat track bully, where he struggles against the big clubs, but he's going to probably bag a couple against sort of the so-called lesser clubs. Always got that feeling for me with Yorkeres, and probably Sesko at United will probably do the same as well. But no, 100% player I'm looking forward to seeing on Sunday, Florian Wirtz, because as soon as he explodes, he is going to be absolutely unstoppable.
I love it, and I agree. I've said it here before. I think he's just a millisecond off, 1 millisecond too slow, and he will shave that millisecond off his reaction speeds as the season wears on, and you'll see him absolutely dominate. I'm sure of it. So yeah, it's good. We're all feeling good about Burnley. I think we could play pretty much anyone, but I wonder if McAllister is not quite fit, or you're going to save him for Atletico de Madrid in the Champions League. One thing we could do is, if we can't agree on a team together, obviously Alisson in goal, Van Dijk, Konate at the back, Kirkes, I would imagine. You're both going for with at right back. That's where the debate comes in. Conor Bradley played for Northern Ireland. Jeremy Frimpong is back in training. But I would suggest keeping Dom at right back, resting McAllister, I'm putting Curtis Jones in midfield next to Gravenberch, with Florian Wirtz behind Gakpo, Ekitike, and Mohamed Salah. Got the thumbs up from Nigel, so no changes from Nigel. Douglas, are we unanimous here?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think the only question mark for me is whether you sort of go with the experienced Robertson or Kirkes at left back. But I think we saw against Arsenal how good Kirkes was against Madueke. Well, according to them, they'll say that he was amazing against Liverpool. Madueke, when he just kept trying the same thing, and Kirkes dealt with him every time of it.
I can't believe I've heard Arsenal fans say over and over again how Madueke dominated Kirkes. No, he didn't. Kirkes won 7 of 9 duels.
But there was going to play the same thing about Gyökeres and Konate.
See that one? I can't. That's astounding.
Yeah.
That's astounding. Sorry, Douglas, you were saying. I interrupted you. I was incredulous.
No, no. I just wanted to obviously say that because their fans will have you think that they actually dominated us the last time they played against us. So yeah, but no. What I was going to say, I agree with the team. I think you would keep McAllister back for the game against Atletico Madrid, because that is a bigger game, and then obviously you've got the Everton game as well. It's great that Frimpong's back. It's great that Bradley's back. But again, I just think you just don't change Dom from the right back, because he has been unbelievable since he had to play it against Newcastle. And obviously Arsenal, 2 really tough games, but he excelled himself in both of them. So. No, I think when you look at who's available, I think the team really picked itself. Alisson definitely in goal, Dom at right back. I suppose there's a big question mark at left back. For me, Kirkes definitely starts for me, and then obviously go Van Dijk, Konate, Grav, Jones, and then I think Salah, Wirtz, Gakpo, and Ekitike. I think that is the team to go with on Sunday.
Ekitike, like EK Max.
Ekitike. I will get that right. I will get that right eventually.
Thank you, Douglas. No, that was wonderful. Thank you very much. I did make
the other way around, look.
Same as the other way around. Exactly. If that reminds me, I often correct people's pronunciation and then get some completely horribly wrong when I don't know the language. And someone got in touch to point out the fact that my Norwegian was to him. Hello, Wayne, if you're listening, you're very welcome here. Cherished, adored listener, like every cherished and adored listener that we have. Wayne thankfully got in touch. I'm very thankful. Thank you, Wayne. To say that my Norwegian was like nails on a blackboard to Wayne. Presumably Wayne speaks a bit of Norwegian because I've been saying Erling Haaland because there's a double A, and I was just guessing what that is, but actually not. I found a video of Erling himself pronouncing his name, and he pronounces it Haaland, with a sort of throaty but he doesn't mind if British people drop the throatiness from the H and we say Haaland, like an American says Holland. So there you go. I hope that's less grating for you, Wayne. And do get in touch, koponpodcast@gmail.com, with any more pronunciation tips. We like to try and get it right here on Kop On. Well, not right, but as right as we can with our own accents. The Premier League, then. Let's be unanimous in that Liverpool are going to beat Burnley, hopefully. And we'll all enjoy that immensely if we do. The Premier League, then, we've had a few bits of news. Nottingham Forest replacing their manager with Ange. Seems a bit of a mad one. Replacing an extremely defensive coach with Ange, or is replacing anyone with Ange a bit of a mad one, Nigel? What do you reckon to that move?
You just don't know what this guy who owns Forest is going to do. He's, I don't know, after what Nuno Espirito Santo has done there at Forest, as a manager with players. It's just like the season they came back up, I think it was, or the season after they came back up, and they did really well. He bought 15 players, and a lot of them bedded in really well. Like, they have a decent side. I like watching Forest at the moment, but I'm not sure. Well, they might get a little bit more attacking under Ange, but I'm not sure the defensive side of it is going to work out very well. After seeing some of the stuff he played, like I think he kind of found his level in Scotland, and this is, sorry Doug, but this league is just far above what's on offer in Scotland at the moment by a long way.
What did you reckon, Douglas?
There's no need to apologise because the standard of football in Scotland is no the best. I was a bit surprised about it, to be honest. I was really surprised when he was appointed. My immediate thought was the fact that he's half Greek, because obviously Marinakis is obviously Greek, and Postecoglou, I think he's got like Greek relatives, I think, as well. So I immediately thought to the fact that he is half Greek. So I thought that maybe that was why he was appointed. It is a real shock that Nuno's gone. I don't think anyone expected him to be the first manager to lose his job. I think he would probably be looking at maybe Mr. Potter at West Ham. In fact, I think whoever lost that game between Forest and West Ham would probably have lost their job anyway, because there was talk that West Ham were apparently looking at Frank Lampard to potentially take over.
No.
Yes, I have heard about it. Apparently they were thinking of getting Frank Lampard to replace.
Thinking is not the verb, Douglas. Thinking and Frank Lampard together does not exist in the same sentence.
That's relegation for West Ham if he goes there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is. Look, I know he's doing a good job at Coventry, but yeah, it'd be a marriage made in hell, especially with the fact that he left West Ham to join Chelsea all those years ago, and West Ham fans haven't forgiven him for that either. So yeah, so whatever Mr. Sullivan decides to do, hopefully it's not Mr. Lampard to come in. But no, maybe they've brought in Ange for maybe the Europa League, because he's got a good record in the Europa League potentially. So who knows? But I'll tell you something: Nuno Espirito Santo will not be out of football for much longer, because I think he'll have a host of clubs going for his services. Very good manager. We saw what he did last season, especially at Anfield. Played very, very well there. So I think he'll have a lot of suitors before the season's out, and don't be surprised if he's back in the Premier League very soon. Maybe he might end up at West Ham. You never know.
It definitely happen indeed. The other thing going around the ground is after our match, you've got the Manchester derby. Manchester City are in 13th position with 3 points. We've only played 3 games, but they've lost 2 of them. And Manchester United are 1 point ahead of them on 4 points. I was speaking to a footballer earlier today, and I was saying how Pep Guardiola is incredibly overrated. And as anyone else I've spoken to in football, he sort of scoffed. And he was like, what do you mean overrated? Pep's an amazing manager. Then together we had a look at all of the players that Pep's signed for over 60 million, which is a very, very long list. And asked the simple question, who has improved? And apart from Rodri, he was the exception. I think there were 10 players that just have not improved or did not improve under Pep. And it's the last year of his contract. It seems to me that his heart's not in it. And speaking about being sacked, he might not get sacked after this match if he loses it. But if they do lose it and they're stuck on 3 points, and if Liverpool manage to get past Burnley, we'll be 9 points ahead of them, Nigel. 9 points ahead of Man City after 4 games. That's pretty mental. If Manchester United lose as well, their fragile confidence made doubly fragile with all those pictures of Ruben Amorim, Ruben Amorim. I was trying our friend Simon in Porto. Ruben Amorim, to pronounce it as best I can. They lost to Grimsby. There are all these memes of him playing Operation, fiddling with a Ouija board on the sidelines, Nigel. I don't know what he was, what spirits he was summoning.
What spirits he was drinking.
Yes, exactly. It was the cheap stuff from the off license, wasn't it? But yeah, their confidence somehow slightly came back for beating Burnley 3-2. But it's extremely fragile. So, like, I want to talk about both Manchester teams losing, which unfortunately they can't do. But for either one to lose this match, it's sort of catastrophic, wouldn't it? I mean, Amorim has now got 31 points from 30 games, I think. That's relegation fodder. So if he loses, the pressure will be on him. And if Pep loses, then the pressure will be on him. It's like it's a Manchester derby we can sort of look forward to, can't we, Nigel?
Yeah. If Guardiola loses or drops any points to this team, he should be sacked and worse. They haven't got a first choice goalkeeper. Ruben Interim hasn't a clue what he's doing. He hasn't a clue.
But I thought they've signed a goalkeeper, haven't they? I think they have Lamens.
Yeah, I heard a few reports on him saying he's basically the Belgian Onana.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? It's like they're an absolute disaster from start to finish. If City can't give Haaland all the ammunition he needs to finish this game, it's not only Guardiola that should be sacked. It should be some of the players that should be sacked. This is an absolute disgrace of a Man United team. Beat Burnley the last time with a penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty. Barely a foul outside the box, and they get a penalty. You know what I mean? It was like, they're absolutely there to be taken. They're useless, which is long may it continue. They're an absolute disgrace. Absolutely horrible. It's great to watch. I think if City can't get a win from that game, they're absolutely codding themselves. With even going on with the season, if they lose, if they drop any points against that crowd, they're terrible.
Would you agree with that assessment? Are Man United as bad as Nigel says, Douglas?
I mean, the thing for me is that I've watched City a couple of times already this season. There's definitely something missing in that team. They haven't sorted out the right back problem. Rico Lewis, I'm sorry, Rico Lewis is not the answer at right back. Neither is Matheus Nunes. And once Gavardio comes back, are they going to move Aït-Nouri to right back? I think that'd be disastrous. Playing a left footer at right back, that'd be really, really bad. And of course, the injuries are starting to pile up as well. And the last thing Pep needed was the injury to Marmoush, because there is your outlet to Holland completely gone like that. Because for me, Oscar Bob, as good as he has been, he is very rash in what he does. His decision making is no the best. I know he's still pretty young as well. This is the best chance. This is the best time to play Manchester City, I think, especially if you're United, you're Napoli in midweek as well. Yes, Manchester United bought a new goalkeeper. I think his name is Seny Lamons. I think that's how you pronounce it in Belgian. But whether he starts or not is another matter. The other lad that they've got, Altay Bayındır, he is as flappy as they come. He looks scared, basically coming for any football that comes towards him. So they've not really thought that part. But I think where City can be definitely got at is the definitely defensively. I don't think they're the best. People say Ruben Diaz is one of the best defenders in the league. Sorry, did you see his defending for the Brighton? Did you see his defending for the Brighton goal? For the winning goal, completely out of position.
Describe it for the listener.
Basically, what had happened was the ball comes out towards I can't remember who it was. I think it was Rutter that headed it on. City are absolutely sleeping at the back. Ruben Diaz is basically jogging from like the middle of the centre circle, and all he basically does sees Gruda going through. Gruda goes past Trafford. Now, if Ruben Diaz had caught back, then maybe you could say that he might have got that off the line. But honestly, I think Ruben Diaz has been his most worst recently, and I don't think it's just this game. I think it's been a few games as well. City are definitely not the City of old. And that Marmoush injury definitely just plays into Manchester United's hands at the weekend. And as far as as a sort of a prediction is concerned, don't be surprised if United win that derby, because I think City are very inconsistent. They have a lot of injuries coming up as well, and I just think there's something missing. And you can play Rodri as much as you want. The fact is, if you don't defend well enough, then I actually think that United can get at them, and especially with in Burmo, I think he's been really, really good. Cunha is a miss, so we'll probably see potentially sort of Sesko there as well. So I just think the way it's going, I can actually see United going to the Etihad and winning, and then it puts more and more pressure on Pep 1 and Pep 2.
Yeah, I think I think I said it on the last pod we did on about what City are missing, and it's KDB. Simple as that. That's all. He's a huge man.
He's huge. I think they still miss Rodri, the real Rodri, because the shadow Rodri is back, but not the real one, not yet. I didn't actually know about the Omar Marmoush injury, but then I've just looked on City's website, and it says Manchester City can confirm that Omar Marmoush has sustained a knee injury. Apparently, he was forced off in the early stages of Egypt's World Cup qualifying match with Burkina Faso, and he's definitely been ruled out of the game on Sunday. And this article was from yesterday as we're recording this. It says Marmoush will now return to Manchester for more assessment. Do you have an update, Doug, or is that as much as you know as well?
Yes, that is very, very true. It was a really bad challenge that he came under. Basically, ball comes towards him, and I can't remember who they were playing, but a defender basically catches him. Burkina Faso. It was high up on the knee. I think it looked like the meniscus had potentially gone. So whether or not that means another sort of bad injury, but this is the thing as well. I don't think City have learned their lessons from last season as well, because you look at the AFCON coming up in December. Now, obviously, we'll be obviously missing Salah, but they're missing Marmoush. All that pressure is going to be on Holland to continue to deliver. That could come back to bite them, especially if Holland was to get injured. We know his record of really, really minor injuries. That could definitely come back to haunt them, especially with the fact that Marmoush is away at the AFCON. Who do you play if Holland and Marmoush are not there? I honestly think City's transfer window has been good, but it's not really strengthened in the positions they needed to strengthen. Did they really need Donnarumma? I think I honestly think the Donnarumma money could have strengthened in a right back for me, because right back I think they're really, really struggling.
For ages. I've said it since Nunez signed for them, and since he was moved to right back, it's like, my God, man, he's a liability. And as you say, Rico Lewis is much more comfortable elsewhere. But there's also this factor, Douglas, about Pep, that the players are in decline. All of them, pretty much. Think about it, right? This is the list of players that I was talking about earlier with my student, right? Jack Grealish under Pep, absolute disaster. Guardiola, you could say that he's either stayed the same level, he hasn't really improved, he stayed the same level, or he's slightly decreased since he's gone to City. Marmoush, we don't know. It's too early. He signed on the 23rd of January this year. But having said that, he didn't uproot any trees, having scored 20 goals and got 20 assists in Germany. He didn't translate that kind of magic to the Premier League. Is that Pep? Something to do with his system and the way he's motivating the players? I don't know. Ruben Diaz, as you mentioned, has gone way downhill. Rodri, he's the exception. Unbelievable player. Riyad Mahrez was a good player at Leicester already, and he did improve at Man City, actually. I'll give him that one. Aymeric Laporte went way downhill. Cancelo went way downhill. Matheus Nunes was shit to begin with. Now he's diabolical. Jeremy Doku has not improved. He's a one-trick pony, and he was when he arrived, and he remains a one-trick pony 2 years later. 2 years ago, he signed for them. Nico Gonzalez, 60 million signing in February the 3rd, 2025. So
honestly, Owen, you say Nico Gonzalez. What was the point of that signing?
However, panic buy. He was there. Arthur Mello. No, not Arthur Mello, because he's actually going to play. He was there. Ozan Kabak. Of course, John Stones is going down. His form, I think, has been terrible this year. Kyle Walker has left. But all of these players and attacking players, Bernardo Silva, man, what a regression for him in a City shirt. So all of these players are in regression, including Haaland, including Erling. It's great to see, to be honest, after they annoyed us by cheating their way to several titles. It's satisfying that reality is finally catching up. But yeah, I just think it won't be a fascinating game. It'll be two underperforming teams playing really, really badly. But I think you might be right, Douglas. I think Manchester United might win, even though Šeško is horrendous signing. He's average at best. It's just my opinion. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is Ibu Konate. Fresh rumours, but it's not really fresh. It's just regurgitating the same story. It looks like he's going at the end of the season. We've been speaking about it for a while. Possibly to Real Madrid, possibly somewhere else. But the way I'm thinking about this, Nigel, is putting it into the context of how we felt a year ago when we were talking about the horrendous possibility that Virgil might leave on a free. Virgil hadn't extended his contract, and there's a big difference between Virgil and Ibu, especially his performance in the first two games of the season. But then the third game of the season, Konate was fantastic against Arsenal. Wonderful performance. So my question is, Nigel, how bothered would you be if Ibu goes at the end of the season on a free?
Yeah, I'd be bothered enough. I don't like seeing players leave who would be described as integral in our squad, so to speak. And Ibu is a starter. He's simply our second best centre back at the moment. Now, remains to be seen what Leone is going to be like. Hopefully he'll step up, but it's not great. He wasn't good the first two games, but he was very good the last day. He was absolutely brilliant. Now, saying that, he was up against Gyökeres. And Gyökeres tried hard, but I just don't think he has the finesse for the Premier League. And the way Arteta plays with 4 centre backs and 3 holding midfielders is not going to help that. Yeah, Ibu was very good. It would be sad to see him go like that. After losing a player at the start of this season like that, and seeing him go like that is not great. That's it really. There's no point in going on about it because that's the way it is. Wouldn't that be happy?
No, it's very interesting. But I was talking on the excellent YouTube channel, the Anfield Irishman. So big up to Brian from the Anfield Irishman YouTube channel. Really enjoy that. He's talking on YouTube pretty much every night about the Reds with a call-in show. And hang on, what was I going to say? On that, we were talking about Ibu. We were talking about Konate. And also the idea that players are much more likely to run down their contract and leave on a free now because they get higher wages at the end of it. And it makes sense. I know that we, with our club hat on, we are we just care about Liverpool. But the players, like, if you could make an extra £20,000 a week minimum by waiting until June of next year and walking away, but more likely you end up with 50 grand a week extra. I mean, this money's beyond comprehension for normal people like me and you, unless, you're hugely rich person, in which case koponpodcast@gmail.com, give me a job. I can mow lawns or whatever. The point is that in the transfer market, Nigel, I don't think we should expect loyalty from Trent or from Ibu or from anyone. From Trent maybe more because he's a local lad, but even then you've got to understand his reasons for going, not just financial, but the financial thing, it would come into it. Like, even if Real Madrid come in with a 20 million bid, but in January for Ibu, and Ibu will possibly get 30,000 less than he would if he goes on a free and joins PSG, his other possibility, then he's going to wait. He's going to say, no, sorry, because it just makes sense for him and his family. Does that make sense, Nigel? I mean, you would do the same, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm not sure I would. Loyalty is very important. You'd think they've got, they're always talking about, oh, the fans are great and all this, and I love this club and all that kind of crack. Well, prove it then. That's it. There's just not enough of that. You've got to admire what Palace did with Gahey. You feel really sorry for Gahey not getting his move, but there was two players, one that actually joined us that kicked off big time, and both of them got moves. And the guy that stayed and played his heart out and scored a brilliant goal the night before deadline day for his club, he gets denied the move simply because he was being professional. It doesn't paint a great picture for the rest of the teams, I suppose. But, loyalty is supposedly important and fans are supposedly important. Well, not to these guys whose agent suddenly lights a fire under them because they want to line a few pockets.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, yeah, the counter argument is indeed you're going to have more money than you're going to need for you and your family, unless you're extremely bad with money or have a massive gambling problem or whatever. Like Pep gambling on fullbacks. Who knows? Douglas, what do you make of the Konate situation?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm you on, like, it's the same regurgitated nonsense, isn't it? Every time you basically go on social media or anything, you've got women, good man, or you've got it's almost like Madrid journalists almost as well. It's like, it's their sort of their party piece to write some absolute BS story about Ibu Konate. As long as he's at the club, we'll always, support him. But I think it is coming to that time now where you do have a decision in January to make. Do you cash in on him, or do you let his contract run down? Look, I'll be honest, I don't think his form's been great in sort of the last 6 to 12 months, but he is still a very, very important part of our squad. Need to remember that. Against Bournemouth and Newcastle, he wasn't great, but against Arsenal, he showed that he is still one of our best players at centre back. And Nigel's absolutely right about Martin Guehi. I'm not even going to go into the sort of the people blaming side of things. Look, at the end of the day, Steve Parish wanted to sell Guehi for obviously the money, which you can understand. Oliver Glasner reportedly threatened to quit as Palace manager, and Guehi's not getting his move because he's been the ever professional about it. So I think Guehi's got to be applauded for being as professional as on as he has been. And Nigel's absolutely right about the goal he scored against Aston Villa was unbelievable. Top corner from a centre back and quite incredible. I just want this whole sort of situation to be sorted, really, the Konate situation. Either basically say you want to go, or basically sign an extension and then basically be able to get us the money back that we deserve, because it was a hefty price tag we did actually pay for him. I just want this whole saga to be over. I can't be dealing with another Shred situation. I just can't. But we'll see. But we'll see what happens over the course of the season. And obviously, Leone is definitely one for the future as well. But I suppose only centre back's really the only position I think could be a little bit concerned about. But everywhere else, we're pretty stacked, I think. So, we'll be the season continues, and we'll see what happens at the end of it.
Excellent answer. Nigel?
I think, unfortunately, I was talking to people in work the other day about this, and I think there might be something coming along the lines of a Bosman ruling again, because of people trying to get out of contracts. I have an awful feeling that there might be something coming down the line along those lines.
Of being able to break your contract, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
That a ruling, like, remember when Bosman came in, it was massive, and I just have an awful feeling that there might be something coming like that in favour of the players. The contracts are not going to mean anything. I just have now it might not, but the way it's going, the way people are running down contracts, it ain't good.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's not particularly good for the clubs when they could be getting money, but it's good for players. It's good for agents. See who holds the power, and that will continue on. That will rumble on. I'd like to wrap up though, because I need to go to bed. It's late here. Thank you so much to Nigel and to Douglas. I don't want to leave you with some lovely words about the return of football. I'm sure she was thinking of it. It's a poet called Barbara Howes, and it's not really about football. It's called The Homecoming. All the great voyagers return homeward as on an arc of thought. Home like a ruby beacon burns as they crest wind, scale wave, soar air. All the great voyagers return. Thank you very much. This has been Kop On Podcast. Absolute pleasure. Do check out the Dugout Football channel, the OUG, the Dugout Football channel, and follow Nigel on Twitter at IrishRed11, and follow Doug on Twitter wherever you can. Whoever you are, wherever you are, get in touch. koponpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you soon. You'll never walk alone. Thank you. Bye bye.